So today it will be, let's see if voice is okay. Yes. So the game plan of greatness. What do we do now? Let me share the screen. And yes, we'll continue with our study. So I'll erase the previous day's thing. So it is about the game plan for greatness. Come here. Yeah. So let us start. It may be helpful to contrast the greatness mindset with its natural opposite, the powerless mindset. The powerless mindset is so. The opposite of greatness mindset is powerless mindset. The powerless mindset is where we naturally tend to operate unless we intentionally choose a new direction. As you can see in the image, when we are influenced by the powerless mindset, we feel trapped and isolated, as if we have few options and little hope for a better life tomorrow. But there is a path to embracing the liberation of the greatness mindset. This requires moving through what I call the transformation zone. It begins with gaining awareness of the problem and realizing the need to do something about it. Then we make the decision to take action. Finally, we need to make a commitment to persist in spite of challenges we meet. Persist despite challenges. It is the start of the challenge that we started thinking about greatness mindset, right? So the first thing, the step one is uh, uh, it is moving through a journey. The first is this is the transformation zone. Transformation zone. So the first is to recognize the problem. Second is to the need to do something about it. And decision to take action. And so these are the four challenges that we do, four things we need to do. And this is called the transformation zone. The key to understanding the transformation zone is knowing that the process is never easy. As you can see in the image, the way can get narrow when moving from one mindset to the other. It is like an hourglass. But once you make the journey and continue to live it out, an abundance of options open to you. Then there is no lead in your potential. Soon, all the world will see the greatness within you. I encourage you to power through the challenge of the transformation zone and the progression from the powerless mindset to the greatness mindset. So, let us see. Let me bring in the hourglass so that you can see the greatness zone, how it happens, right? So here is it, the greatness mindset. So the transformation zone happens when you make the commitment, the decision, and the awareness. It starts from awareness, then you take decision, then your commitment. That is how it happens, right? At this stage of the journey, I hope you are feeling pretty good about having identified your meaningful mission and honed your greatness mindset. But now what? How do you turn that into activity that moves you towards significance and purpose each and every day? I am glad you asked, because it is time to get practical. The game plan for greatness is the proven process I have used to pursue my own meaningful mission, and the steps have been validated by the many experts I have engaged over the years. You can use these steps to guide you as you pursue your meaningful mission. I suggest you tackle them in order from 1 to 7. You don't miss any critical steps, because each step on the one before. Each person will move through these steps at a different pace, and that is totally fine. But the key is to actually move through them, starting right now. So the next is ask courageous questions. Let me duplicate this. Take it here. The next is ask courageous questions. The next step. What has been holding you back from starting your meaningful mission? The fear of doing it wrong. Rachel Rogers, a Black business owner, self-made millionaire, and author of We Should All Be Millionaires, founded Hello 7 to help people from marginalized communities learn how to develop seven-figure businesses. Driven by the belief that when more marginalized people have money, the world will become more equitable. She built a membership community affectionately called the Club. Hello 7 was a multi-million-dollar success, but she felt her role in the business wasn't completely fulfilling her mission. At the time, Rachel had been This has been my dilemma also. But how do I overcome what I do by doing, right? So taking small action. That is how the things will open up. The decision has come, awareness has come, the decision has come, the commitment is there. And now one needs to keep doing, because there is this hourglass, the options become very small, right? The way forward becomes very restricted. So that is when consistency pays. Let us go. At that time, Rachel had been sitting on her idea for a non-profit for nearly a year. She confessed to me, I know how to build a business and make money, but building a non-profit and doing it right and not screwing it up, I'm really nervous about that. So I did what I have done with a lot of people and began asking her questions. First, I asked her what she could accomplish with an extra $10 million. As it turned out, she knew exactly what to do with it. She shared with me her dream of starting that non-profit to serve Black mothers. The non-profit would provide three main services: doulas to help new mothers before and after delivery, night nurses to allow mothers time to rest, and subsidized childcare to help give mothers the opportunity to build their careers. We calculated that with an extra $10 million, she could provide these services to more than 1,000 mothers. Next, I asked Rachel, how would that make you feel? I would be on the top of the world. So I pressed her with a follow-up question to help her get practical. Let us say you are going to help one mom, and this mom is watching and listening right now. What places would she need to contact? Who could she email? What does she need to see? I had a reason for pushing Rachel. She had achieved so much. She had already mastered money making and team building, but her fear of failure ran the risk of holding her stagnant. I wanted to know what would get her excited, what passion fueled her heart, and what first action she might take to see her next dream come to fruition. I think what I imagine doing in this non-profit is really just having a simple application that people fill out. Okay, I said, give me the URL to an application page that you can say right now that you will make available in the next couple of days. hello7.org. But we did not stop there. Since she already had a couple of people in mind to help execute her ideas, I gave her a second challenge. Call those two people with non-profit experience right after this interview. Lastly, there was the business of making the $10 million a reality. Who are three people you can call today and ask for a $100,000 check? The amount did not really matter. It was about keeping her momentum. I kept pushing. Have a form up in a day. Call these two friends who have the non-profit experience and contact 3 to 5 potential donors in the next 24 hours. Text me tonight. Rachel took all the action I suggested, and as a result, she quickly raised $200,000, enabling her to immediately serve 40 mothers. And that is how the Hello 7 Foundation was born. By asking the courageous questions, defining goals and deadlines, and taking imperfect action, Rachel Rogers took her mission to the next level. All too often, people focus on the how when they should be thinking about what they really want to do and why. When you do that, the how will follow. 5 courageous questions. When you get your mindset in motion, things feel good, really good. The right thoughts, emotions, and behaviors open up possibilities. The future begins to look bright. For a moment, And then the questions kick in. What if, what about, how will I, what will they? Kept pushing. The wrong negative questions can quickly derail you on your greatness journey. The right questions, however, are the ones that require real courage to ask and answer. Questions unlock potential in you and through you. That is why the game plan for greatness begins by asking courageous questions. There are 5 questions that you need to answer to get to the heart of the personal greatness and push yourself to action. I have used variations of these questions time and again to coach people to push past fear and doubt. You can work through these in any order you like, but each one will help you create a bias for action and inspire you to move forward as quickly as possible. The purity question: if you were to be 100% authentic to who you are, what would you do differently? So the first question is, if. This is called purity question. If you were to be 100% authentic to who you are, what would you do differently? So that is the first question. We all tend to present curated versions of ourselves. Maybe it is because we aren't sure if people will like the real version of us. But maybe it is also a crutch that keeps us from becoming great. This question empowers you to own who you are and strive for who and what you want to accomplish and become. The priority question. If you absolutely had to double your goal in the next 30 days, what would be your first 3 moves? I like asking this question because it forces people to not simply think outside the box, but to shatter it. I even dare to ask, if you knew you or someone you love would die if you didn't double your goal and achieve it in 30 days, what would be your first 3 moves? This may seem like an extreme exercise, but if you lived with a sense of urgency and you absolutely had to accomplish this thing you wanted, but have allowed fear to hold you back, what would you focus your attention on to make it happen? So I don't have absolutely no idea what I would do. You can change the time frame to fit your situation, but the important thing is that it feels pretty impossible to do at first glance. Too often, we don't live with urgency. We accept the status quo and settle for less than we could achieve just because it feels comfortable. And no one will die if we don't achieve it. But in fact, every day we live is one less day we have to achieve those goals and live out those dreams. If you are not okay with letting those dreams go unfulfilled, then maybe you need to raise the stakes mentally to think and act differently. The possibility question. What would be possible for you if you could insert your goal, dream, mission? So the possibility question, that was purity question. The priority question, the possibility question. Is what would be possible for you if you could achieve your dreams? This question allows you to insert the details of your situation into it and try on another potential reality. For example, what would be possible for you if you could leave your current job and devote all your effort to growing your side hustle? What would be possible for you if you could dramatically improve your family relationships? You get the idea. This question lets you explore how your path might feel if you achieve certain goals and positions you to ask the next question. The session. Yeah. What would it feel like if you could in if you could achieve those goals? We are all emotional beings at the core. So this question frees you to explore how it might feel to experience success in the areas that are important to you. What would it feel like for you if you could leave your current job and devote all your effort to growing your side hustle? What would it feel like if you could dramatically improve your family relationships? The prosperity question. If you won the lottery today, what would you do next? This question allows you to remove the constraint of money and frees you to think about what you really want to do without shutting yourself down because you don't think you have the resources to achieve it. You wouldn't have made it this far in the greatness journey if you weren't looking to grow. But oftentimes we shortchange our growth goals by making them too small. What if you thought big, really big, where money was not an issue? Go ahead, dare to dream. These questions aren't exhaustive. In fact, I encourage you to think of others to help you push forward and make courageous decisions. Perhaps the most important thing you can do is to develop the habit of asking yourself courageous questions like these on a regular basis. From stagnant to spectacular. I have known entrepreneur and real estate mogul Grant Cardone for over 12 years now, and he has been a guest on the School of Greatness several times. He has an incredible resume, including authoring 8 books, producing 13 business programs, acting as CEO of 7 privately held companies, and appearing as a regular on huge networks like the Fox News and CNBC. I can say with confidence that he acts with courage and isn't afraid to ask challenging questions. He has shared some incredible stories with me, not the least of which is the story of how he lost everything and built it back tenfold. After a trauma like that, most people would play it conservative and paid their emergency funds, but not Grant. Grant literally has the bulk of his money invested. Let that sink in. He has no savings. That might sound outrageous, but Grant knows what he can do with his investment and his cash flow. Clearly, he is an all in kind of guy. Yet, a few years ago, on an episode of my show, I challenged him for thinking too small. At the time, his real estate business was bringing in millions, but I knew that was not representative of Grant's talent. I did not want him to settle, so I brought on the question, what would it take to get to a billion? I could see my question surprised him. It is just not possible, he replied. Well, you can probably guess how I feel about the impossible. What do you mean it is not possible? I just don't have enough contacts anymore. Okay, I said. What would it take? Who do you need to meet? Who has the money that you need to borrow? I wouldn't let up because I recognized the limiting thoughts. As I asked him the questions, I saw those limiting thoughts begin to dissipate and his mind open to bigger possibilities right then and there. Later, he told me that the interview changed everything for him. He kept asking himself, how can I grow faster? He realized his business was only reaching a limited, wealthier po- population. It dawned on him that most of his own family members would not have the money to benefit from his business. So he got started making a fund available to a variety of income levels where people could invest incrementally in larger estate deals. 2 years after the interview, Grant returned to my show as the proud CEO of a $900 million business. Can you guess what I did next? What would it take to get to 3 billions? I asked. That is just not possible, he said. We don't have enough time. What if it was possible? What would need to happen? After some thought, he started listing steps. Okay, I challenged him. What are you waiting for? And Grant made the impossible happen again. When I last saw him, his business had blown past $4 billion. And this time, I didn't even need to ask. He told me his team is planning to top 40 billion within the next 3 years. From impossible to 40 billion. That is the power of courageous questions. And they work for everyone. What would it take? What needs to happen? Who should support? What is the next step? Why not? What if it happens already? So these are the questions we can ask ourselves. When we first spoke on my show, Ali Abdal was a part-time doctor in the UK, but his real passion had become that of being an online creator. At the time of our interview, his YouTube channel had over 2 million subscribers, where he focused on how people can lead happier, healthier, and more productive lives under the 5 pillars of health, wealth, love, happiness, and impact. But not long after our conversation, he made the decision to move completely away from being practicing doctor. His move to becoming an ex-doctor happened partly as a result of being asked two questions that are variations of the ones we discussed earlier. What would it take? What would it look like if in the next 30 days you completely stopped being of service and so on one as a doctor? How would it make you feel right after you made that decision to stop practicing medicine? Ali had essentially become a dabbler in the medical field. There were a host of reasons it made sense for him to stay. He had invested more than 8 years of his life and many thousands of dollars into medical school. Being a doctor was prestigious. It is how he built his brand on YouTube. Now I was asking him what it would be like to walk away. His response was fair and honest. I think it would feel very scary, mostly for selfish reasons. I think even now I can still convince myself that this YouTube channel, the business, everything else, it all just a side gig. But with this side gig, he was pulling in multiple six figures, much more than he was making as a part-time doctor. And by his own admission, he was helping some people as a YouTuber than a doctor. The fear of not having that old world prestige of medicine, which is not quite the new world prestige of being a YouTuber, those fears are all selfish things. I wouldn't be concerned at all about not having an impact on people because I know that I am. I'm not special as a doctor. Anyone in my position can do the same thing. I could see that these questions were giving him lots to think about. So I threw a big concept out there. In a sense, you are doing a disservice by giving 10% of your time and energy to helping people in an area you are not passionate about, as opposed to the people that really want to do it full time. That is an interesting way of looking at it, he replied. I hadn't quite thought of that. I was very respectful of Ali, of course. I wasn't pushing him just to push. I just knew that sometimes you need someone to push you to make a courageous bet on yourself. Being a doctor is a noble calling, if it is in your calling. What I was hearing Ali say was that it was more about fear and sunk cost. He felt he was having the most impact on the world with the work he was doing as an online creator. Over the course of the rest of the show, we talked about several more questions related to his goals. If you had 10 million subscribers, would you continue practicing medicine? What if you reallocated those 10 part-time hours a month working as a doctor to develop the next program or focus on things to help your digital business expand? What type of impact do you think you would make if you solely focused on your digital platform? After our conversation, Ali asked himself even more courageous questions. In fact, he shared a YouTube video a few weeks later where he walked through his decision to leave medicine for good. Before he could make that decision, though, the questions he asked himself helped him to get the core of his mindset. Some of the questions he had to nail down were, what if this YouTube thing doesn't work? Why not stay a doctor as a safe backup option? What if people on the internet hate me for leaving medicine? Will my channel and business die if I don't continue to call myself a doctor? Why don't I do everything part time? Is the only reason I am practicing medicine because I want to continue to hold on to this badge of being a doctor? to set myself apart from most of the other YouTubers. So what else can I do to get started? So this will take some time because I have been stuck with this question for a long time, and so much so that I haven't started it again. There are all fair and valid questions, but in the end, he realized that he couldn't let fear hold himself back from his greatness goals. You don't have to be a doctor or YouTuber to use courageous questions to make a change. Questions like these will help you get from where you are to where you want to be. When you discover what you really want to do and eliminate the things that hold you back, you free up energy to go toward your passion. I have seen it time and again. When people go all in on the things they love, magical things start to happen. Maybe it doesn't happen right away, but greatness will eventually follow. Courage in a question. Once you learn to challenge yourself and to silence the easy, lazy questions that pop up when you are trying to do something great, you discover that questions aren't the enemy. Rather, the right kind of questions, courageous questions, can quickly unlock something in you that is then buried deep within. Courageous questions are focused and direct. They expand possibility thinking while helping you eliminate distractions. They help you zoom out and see things you may have overlooked. They offer you fresh perspective and new horizons to explore. Rest of all, they create in you a bias toward action. Dreams of what could be someday suddenly become possible today. And this often leads to an avalanche of momentum. What questions do you need to ask yourself to get started? Don't wait. The world needs your greatness. Engaging greatness. So let let us start asking questions. Let yourself dream of what could be. It is time to dare to ask yourself and answer some courageous questions. Invest some time into thinking about each of the courageous questions and jot your answers down in your notebook or in your notes app. As you do, you will probably stumble across other questions that scare you. Don't ignore them. Jot them down as well and take the time to answer them authentically. Don't let preconceived barriers, fears, or negative thoughts hold you back. Have the courage to dream about what could be possible for you in pursuit of your meaningful mission. Purity question: if you were to be 100% authentic to who you are, what could you do differently? The priority question: if you absolutely had to double your income in the next 30 days, what would be your first three moves? The possibility question: what would be possible for you if you could uh, if you could achieve your meaningful mission? The passion question: what would it feel like if you could achieve your goal? The prosperity question: if you won the lottery today, what would you do next? List my other questions that surfaced. If you need to schedule time on your calendar to do nothing but think about each of them and answer them courageously. So let us get going, ask more and more and more questions so that it the inner in of us would surface, and it will help us to take courageous questions. So yes, thank you for watching, and we will be meeting in our workshop about what to do next and what if question, right?